It's time for today's Face-Off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-Off on Fox Soul starts right now. In this round, here's Quan LX.
Charles, an unbelievable story coming out of Washington. 2 Senate aides decide to go have sex on the Senate chamber and the Senate floor, in my opinion. Video record themselves having sex in the House, the Senate House, where the senators gather to speak, pass laws, pass legislation. And these 2 Senate aides, these are 2 men, bending over, hitting each other from behind in the dookie shooter. How in the hell can you tell me that these 2 men can bend over, give evil an opening, have sex, and put it out there for everybody to see, and they not be charged with at least disorderly conduct, indecent exposure, charged with trespassing? They were charged with nothing. You mean that you can go and be a sodomite on the Senate floor and play with each other's brown hole and video record it, touching your toes, and you not go to jail? That's a damn shame. Something is sick in this country.
Okay, dookie shoot, brown hole. Did I get all of your?
Dookie shooter.
Okay. Oh, he's a dookie shooter. Okay, I'm not familiar with all
Hitting
this
the dookie shooter.
Okay.
Penitentiary style.
Anyhow, okay, so this is allegedly a former legislative aide for Democrat, obviously, Senator Ben Cardin, or is it Ben Cardin, excuse me, from Maryland, and that he went into not the Senate floor where legislation is passed, but a chamber of the Senate in the office building where they have routinely done things like taking questions of potential Supreme Court nominees, right? It was obviously a formal room in an office building. It wasn't the House. The House is the House. This is the Senate. But here's the problem from a criminal law perspective. It was closed at the time, so it wasn't open to the public. The staffer had a right to be there, okay? So he wasn't trespassing. And they made this video. I think it's repugnant and disgusting. And they made it, which is not getting a lot of attention because the mainstream media doesn't like this. They made it for apparently a group of staffers and politicians to share, erotic homosexual porn.
Oh, it's just freaks all over Capitol Hill. These demonic, deviant bastards. This is sick.
Okay, first of all, it's not sick.
What?
Doing it in the Senate building is sick, but gay people having sex isn't sick. People can have sex.
That video was sick.
Okay.
And as a man, bending over, letting another man knock you to your knees from behind, that's sick as hell to me.
That's why you want to talk about this, because homophobia,
it's
right?
sick.
You don't think gay people should be able to have sex?
I don't think nobody should be making videos having sex in the Senate chamber like that.
Okay, I agree with that. But that's
if it was a man and woman, they should have went to jail.
Okay. But there's not an
Where are the standards anymore, Charles?
I agree
Where are the standards,
that it's
man?
repugnant, but there's not an identifiable crime according to Capitol Hill. Now, obviously,
indecent exposure.
Obviously, if it was
indecent exposure.
Obviously, if it was 2 Republican heterosexuals, they would have gotten 25 years to life from the Justice Department. But it wasn't. It was Democrats.
Did you watch the video?
No, I didn't. Did you watch the video?
Man, I watched it before coming in. He bent over. I thought I was watching an episode of the Penitentiary movie. Wow. That looked like something from the Booty Bandit on Penitentiary. This was madness. This was sick.
Someone that abhors gay people so
I had to
much
prepare for this show.
That you had to watch gay porn to prepare for the show?
I had to watch that bullshit to prepare for this show.
Hey, come on. We're right here in front of America.
Right in front of America.
You on the down low?
I'm a Muslim.
I'm a Muslim. You on the down low?
I'm a Muslim.
Is that why you're so angry
about
gay America because of the self-loathing?
You know what Islam says?
Islam says don't have extramarital sex or premarital sex.
You know what Islam says?
You do that, don't you?
You
do that, don't you?
The punishment's the same.
The
punishment's the same for both.
So it's okay for you to have sex that it contravenes your religion.
Man, we talking about having sex at the Senate chamber.
I agree that that's
wrong. We talking about 2 men, ass naked,
if there was
video recording themselves knocking each other off.
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
That's pathetic.
I didn't look. I think it's kind of sketchy.
So you didn't prepare for the show properly.
No, I read an article.
Like you never do.
I read an article.
The video's what everybody see.
But I wasn't searching out for gay porn.
No, the video didn't show all of it.
Okay, so is it?
They cut it off.
So hey, I didn't expect this to be the discussion, but
Bunch of
here's the
sick damn
truth.
madness.
Your constant tirade against gay America, your constant homophobia, is it self-loathing?
That's
Is
a
it
crime, what they
self-hatred?
did.
But apparently it's
What
not.
they did is crime.
There's not an
It's
applicable crime.
immoral.
The office was closed.
It destroys the
I agree,
Senate
it's
standards.
disgusting. I
And
agree
it causes
it's
the
immoral,
American public
but
to lose
is
faith in its
is it
government
immoral
and its
because
government
it was
leaders.
a gay couple, or is it immoral because they shouldn't be having sex there?
Look, man, that's immoral, period.
Okay,
to do
I
that
agree.
in public like that,
I agree.
That's sad.
I absolutely
and
agree.
then to post and take the video and pass it around
and he was
for other people to see.
Again, I agree.
But you said something that concerned me, though.
Well, tell me what concerned, because I'm concerned
about this
I
secret
think
group.
I think I finally
About this
figured-
secret group
You
on Capitol Hill.
You don't think people have nasty group chats? You don't
Yes.
think, especially in
But
Washington, D.C.?
I wanna know what politicians were involved
they're
in watching it.
Filled with perverted
I wonder what
heterosexuals
politicians
and
were
perverted
involved in watching that.
homosexuals. But it seems like you only take issue with it when it's homosexuals.
No.
And it seems like you only refer
course
to
not.
homosexual sex as this horrible, evil sin.
Let me tell you something,
and you talk
man.
about all this.
I'm gonna be
because I
straight
know
up with you.
I know you in the studio and in these streets, and you're okay.
Any man
You're
letting
okay
another
with
man knock
sex.
him off
Okay, see,
from
there's
behind.
There's the root
I
of
got
it.
a problem with that.
Your problem is
I'm
that it's
sorry,
gay
man.
men. But okay,
Ain't
so,
nothing going behind me but
if
some
it,
tissue.
If it was but that's your preference.
You damn
okay?
right it's my preference,
So,
and it should be yours too.
so if you, but gay people can't have their own preferences.
Whatever the preference is, keep it in your house.
Okay.
Keep it in your bedroom.
Okay.
Don't do that bullshit in public.
But is it immoral?
Don't do it in public. It's immoral to do it in public.
Is it immoral to do it in their house or their bedroom?
According to God.
Okay. But it's also.
But I can't judge them.
It's also.
Only God can judge
you
them.
You judge them all the time. but
Only
it's-
God can judge them. I can't judge them. Only God can judge
You're
them.
wearing silk and cotton.
That's not more than the Quran.
Okay. Oh, so that's just the Quran.
That's
else
not
is
more
a-
than Quran.
Okay. So you live your life specifically to Sharia law?
No.
Okay, exactly.
Because I believe
because you're a
that
dishonest hypocrite.
because those
No,
who carry out
you
Sharia
just-
law,
you just
most
hate
of
gay
them
people,
are guilty
right?
of
Look,
another law themselves.
If there was
so
an-
we must be
if there
careful
was an
executing that law
applicable
as though we're
crime,
righteous enough to do so.
If there was an applicable crime, I absolutely think they should have been charged with it.
No indecent
I think it was
exposure?
repugnant. Well, it was a closed room. It wasn't open
No
to the
indecent
public at the
exposure.
time, and he had the right to be there.
So you telling me that they could have been charged with indecent exposure?
Well, first of all, they intelligently inserted their Fifth Amendment right. They refused to be interviewed on it. The one guy that they've identified publicly, he quit his job before getting fired, and
He probably had a wife at home.
Here's the thing.
Probably had a girlfriend waiting on him.
Here's the thing. It's okay for people to be gay. It's not okay to knock
This
boots.
ain't got nothing to do about
It's
being
not
gay.
okay to knock
This
boots
is
in the Senate
madness,
chamber.
and this was wrong.
Through this whole segment, you've been condemning gay sex generally.
So what you're asking me, this is what you're asking me.
Right. If you
If
have
it was
problem,
a beautiful woman and a beautiful man,
Right.
how would I feel about it?
Right.
I would tell them y'all shouldn't have did that.
He'd watch that video too.
I would tell them.
Gay porn, straight
I would
porn.
tell them.
Quan
I would
LX
tell them they should not have
loves
done that.
all porn. We
That's
heard
a
it right
damn
here on
lie,
Fox
not
Soul.
me. That's a lie, not me.
Societies have become more and more fixated on racial identity. We've all been invited to reflect on our inner whiteness or inner blackness as if these racial essences define who we are. Meanwhile, American society has experienced the greatest crisis in race relations in a generation. Gallup has been asking Americans how they feel about race relations, and this chart is the result. So as you can see, between 2001 and 2013, most Americans felt good about race relations. Then both lines take a nosedive.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
All right, that was a clip of Coleman Hughes, the graduate of Columbia and the firebrand political YouTuber, giving a TED Talk about the over-focus in America on racial identity to justify what he calls the new neo-racism. Now, there was an article on Fox News, there was a clip on Gutfeld, and he has become a focus. A lot of people talk about how Coleman has the ability to talk about dangerous ideas because he doesn't work for a corporation. He's not worried about getting canceled. Obviously, what we do here is we talk about dangerous ideas that we can disagree on. Coleman makes the point that we have seen regularly, and the mainstream media, legacy media has jumped on it, white people being attacked for things that no one else is attacked on. And one of the points he made was talking about restaurants. So not too recently, about a year ago, you had an Afro-Caribbean chef attack who has a Japanese-inspired restaurant, attack a white Australian woman for opening a sushi place in New York City because she's white. We saw a few years ago, we saw a taco business in the Pacific Northwest owned by two white women closed down because of their ethnic identity, besieged by protests. But anyone else, whether they were Asian or Latin or anything, they don't experience that criticism. And what he's saying, and I think he makes some very good points, is that now all we want to do is focus on racism as a reason to push people to the back of the line. Now it's about equity, not equality, and he has quoted Martin Luther King frequently, saying this wasn't Dr. King's focus and this wasn't the point. And what you saw, from his TED Talk, he pointed out, is this collapse in race relations towards the twilight of the Obama administration, because it was exacerbated, because we have a great number of politicians, both on the left and the right, who see that the only way to move people to polls is not fixing things, it's not making things better. It's by making people angry. And social media has just absolutely exacerbated. I've heard people tell me recently that the conditions for African Americans in America now are just as bad as they were in the 1950s. And that, of course, is an obvious lie. That is a woe is me, I'm the main character, I'm the victim now. And it does nothing to, one, acknowledge how much further we've come, or to identify real issues that still need to be addressed. And I applaud Coleman for being one of the few people brave enough to say it.
The problem with brothers like Coleman and even like our sister Candace Owens, both of them are highly intelligent brothers and sisters, and I believe they absolutely mean well. But the problem from the black perspective is they're always willing to critique black people for our failures, our shortcomings. And if they're doing it out of love, they should also be allowed to do that, because we're critiquing one another out of love. But they rush to critique black folk for what we do that's not right, but they don't have the same energy and the same vigor to critique white people for their shortcomings and their failures, not from yesterday, but right now that's going on today. I agree, we should one day, by God's gracious permission, have a colorblind society. When he spoke about the inner whiteness and inner blackness, he was right about that. Because see, God don't care about your color. Inner blackness, inner whiteness, these are man-made narratives. It's about recognizing the very nature in which the black man and white man both were created. And if you understand that nature, then you live according to your nature. Color has no place. He's right about that. But Charles, white supremacy affected for hundreds of years every institution in this country, everyone, healthcare, education, finance, military, housing, you name it. And still to this day, the great economic gap has not really gotten closer for the masses of black people. So in that reality, when they say that it's worse today than what it was yesterday, economically during the segregation, black people financially stronger because our dollars were unified.
Okay, I know that you love to lie to people.
We kept it in the hood.
None of that's true.
We kept our money in the community.
None of that's true.
Yes,
You're
the
lying
black dollar
through your teeth.
during segregation, the black dollar circulated longer in the black community than what it did right down to integration. Because during that time, we had black-owned banks in the black community. We had our own black financial institutions in the black community, Charles. So the money did stay longer in the hood than what it does right now today. Academically, you had more black young men graduating high school functionally literate. Now you got more black men not even graduating high school doing integration.
Well, downstream
this
from
is a
liberal
fact.
Education policies
It's a
that
fact.
push people through. No, those aren't facts.
Doing segregation, you had more black fathers in the home with their children than doing integration.
And again, downstream from liberal policies that incentivize broken homes. But let's talk about some facts first. When you talk about during Jim Crow, right, and you talk about black communities, well, the truth is that educational opportunities were denied black America, right? Opportunities to get licensing for professions were denied black America, and the poverty in black America was far more extreme than it is now. but there's no comparison between the economic opportunity. And when you talk about someone, and I don't want to talk about Candace Owens, a far-right conservative panderer, but Coleman Hughes, actually a Democrat. He doesn't criticize black people generally. He criticizes bigoted black people specifically. He doesn't talk generally.
But does he criticize white people?
Yeah, he most certainly does. And again,
where does he criticize white people?
No,
because if he's balanced in his critique, then I understand.
Well, you just said he wasn't, but you didn't know.
He's not.
From
what I saw, he's not.
Because you saw one little clip. He didn't take the time to educate yourself. No, he doesn't criticize anyone holistically based on their skin color. Black people or white people. What he does is he talks about policies and positions and people that support those policies and positions despite or with no regard to the color of their skin. And what he's talking about when he talks about neo-racists, because the only people that you can openly condemn, right? We see it I see it on the Instagram for this very channel. People will use racial pejoratives directed at white people talking about me. Doesn't hurt my feelings, I don't care.
They do the same thing about me.
Hold on, no.
They do the same thing about me.
But you'll get thrown off Instagram if you use racial pejoratives directed at anyone but white people. We have this new paradigm in America.
True.
We have.
There have been many black activists and black men and women podcasts who were pulled off the air because they spoke about white people. That's not true.
If I use the racial pejoratives that you use, which I wouldn't
like
because
what?
I'm not a racist.
Like what?
If I use those, I would be canned.
Like what?
You use racial pejoratives
like
and
what?
you condemn African Americans like Coleman Hughes because they don't share
like
your
what?
value. The truth is, bigotry is bigotry, racism is racism, and you
like
should
what?
stop being a despicable racist.
You can say it. Go
Coleman,
ahead, buddy.
You make some great points.
Like hell you do, brother.
You keep being a racist.
You're a good brother, but be balanced.
DemocracyNow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Thousands of Palestinians took part in a funeral procession Tuesday in the occupied West Bank for 3 Palestinians killed by Israeli assassins in a shocking undercover raid on a hospital in Jenin. Surveillance footage from the Ibn Sina hospital shows around a dozen undercover Israeli forces storming the hospital, guns raised, wearing white doctors' coats or hospital scrubs, and dressed as Muslim women wearing headscarves. One of the undercover troops carried a rifle in one arm and a folded wheelchair in the other. The Israeli military claimed the 3 men it targeted were involved in planning an imminent attack and were using the hospital.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, this video coming out of Palestine were members of the Israeli Defense Force and another Israeli security agency disguised themselves as doctors, nurses, disguised themselves as patients, men disguised themselves as women, to go into a hospital for the sole reason of assassinating 3 Palestinian men who were there recovering from wounds in the hospital. They went in and killed every one of those men, all 3 of them. That is against the rule of international law. That is against the United Nations rules of war. That is also one of the rules states in the rules of war. You cannot disguise yourself as civilians and kill, quote unquote, members of the opposing enemy. Then also, it was the Israelis who said that it was Palestinians disguising themselves as natural citizens who Hamas, hiding in doctors' uniforms, also hiding in nurses' uniforms, that Hamas was using hospitals, and that's why they bombed one of it, or went to the hospital and killed some members there. Well, the same thing Israel accusing Palestinians of doing, the same behavior the Israelis are doing. So if it's wrong when the Palestinians do it, it's absolutely wrong when the Israelis do it also. Then what I don't like is they killed these 3 men on an allegation. They didn't arrest them and take them to court and give them a trial and then let a jury find them guilty. They killed them just based on an allegation. If that happened in America, where any defense force or security agency in America went into a hospital and killed someone because we believe they allegedly were planning something, those individuals will be arrested, put on trial, and perhaps sent to prison. It's wrong, Charles, and the Israelis should be ashamed of themselves for conducting such a raid.
There's absolutely nothing Israel can do to respond to the terrorists in Gaza that you would approve of, right? In fact, You said it was war, but it's not war when you don't want it to be war. And well, it's the Gazans when it's the Gazans, but it's Hamas when they do bad things. I have an issue with the bombing campaign, and I hate that the Gazan terrorists and those that support them have funneled billions of dollars that was supposed to be humanitarian aid from all around the world to construct tunnel systems. I hate that they shoot rockets constantly. It's been happening for decades at Israel from hospitals and schools using civilians. But my problem with Israel has been the widespread nature of the bombing campaign, although I do believe that they've targeted specifically terrorist activity. I've always said that I far prefer if they were concise and strategic and surgical, to use that word. And this is what happened here. These are terrorists that were planning another attack. This is war, a war that Gaza started with Israel. And if Israel wanted to respond to that war and annihilate Gaza in moments, they could. But instead what they've done...
And Pakistan, a Muslim country, could annihilate Israel if they wanted to retaliate on behalf of Muslims.
Well, Pakistan, again, you love to group people by race, by religion, by all these things. But the truth is, what the Gazans did is they started a civil war in the interior of Israel, right? And I have an issue with the bombing campaign, but you took issue with everything. And there's nothing, all you want is Israel to stand down
about the assassination in this hospital.
Now we're talking about war.
You are a lawyer.
Okay. Would you prefer?
Would you want one of your clients to be murdered in their hospital bed solely based on an allegation, never having their day in court? Would you support that?
This is war.
Would you support that?
Overwhelmingly,
but there's rules to war.
Well,
but there's rules to war.
So would you rather have
this is breaking the rules, Charles.
First of all, you lie when it's convenient. Those men weren't recovering in the hospital. They were using the hospital as cover. But you said that
That's
because
what the doctor said.
Because America.
The doctor said they were recovering in the hospital, Charles.
So what you're...
The picture showed them in hospital beds,
literally
Charles.
Just contrive whatever you want because
Charles,
people believe
the
you're
picture
nonsense.
showed them in hospital beds,
These
Charles.
were men engaged in active terror. Right?
Where's the proof?
So would you have preferred that?
Where is the proof?
Would you prefer that after Gaza attacked the kibbutzes and put babies in microwaves and beheaded children and raped women and took them as hostages, which they're still raping, and they're talking about how women are going to have to get abortions after
and
months
you have a right
of,
to attack,
hold on. Okay,
imprison, or assassinate the guilty.
Well, you don't imprison
with facts,
people
Charles,
during
with facts.
a war. So you would prefer that they just bomb the hospital?
No. Charles, where's the evidence?
Okay. So
where is the evidence?
So you don't believe
these were allegations?
You don't believe October 7th
with no
happened?
evidence? Yes, I do believe it happened.
How do you know what
it did happen?
How do you
and
know?
that was evil.
How do you
and that
know?
was wrong.
How
but Charles,
do you
where
know
is the evidence?
What
Charles?
evidence that they have? Because they're not sharing it with you?
If we're going to allow nations to assassinate people in hospitals, disguised as doctors and nurses, with no evidence, Charles, wants to stop another country to come into America and do the same thing.
To engage in widespread war with Gaza, okay, a war Gaza started, or do we want Israel behaving in a surgical manner?
Would you support another country coming into America doing it?
If another country came...
If Russia came to America and killed some American soldiers because we gave Ukraine weapons, would you support
I'll tell a real-world example. When the Houthis, backed by Iran, killed 3 of our African-American soldiers that I fully support Biden going there and starting a war
you ain't got one shred of proof.
You know, you don't even
Where's your proof?
You don't even care
about... You white folks lie all the time.
You don't even care about 3
you lying white folks lie all the
American
time.
soldiers that were assassinated.
Where is the proof Iran was behind it?
Yeah.
Where's the proof?
Exactly.
Yeah, you love doing that.
You're on team Muslim.
You love jailing Negroes, killing Negroes with no proof.
If you're a black American but you're not Muslim, Quanell don't give a damn
about you. Don't you trust these lying white folks?
Okay.
Where's the proof?
We just heard it right now.
Ain't no damn proof.
What's the proof on Iran killing 3 black American
Where's the proof
soldiers?
that they backed it up? Where's the proof?
I am rarely shocked by my opponent. Obviously, we're friends off the screen, but we battle here. But when he talks about where's the proof, right? Because we weren't even supposed to talk about these 3 poor African-American soldiers who died as a result of what is basically a modern-day Pearl Harbor committed by terrorists backed by Iran. I'm absolutely shocked. And I have had an issue with the IDF's bombing campaign because although Israel has made more effort than in the history of the world to remove civilians from areas that are being bombed, right? They have done more to protect civilian life than anyone at war, and they are at war. Gaza attacked them. It wasn't Hamas. Hamas is the leadership of Gaza, and there it's a war. And I prefer restraint. And I prefer them going in there and surgically just attacking the terrorists and leaving the hospital standing and leaving the civilians alone. But what his problem is he's anti-Semitic, and there's absolutely nothing that Israel can do, and it's really repugnant.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this. We in America cannot support innocent people based on allegations being assassinated on any level. If Israel believed that they were planning this attack, well, then provide the proof. You killed them already. Now give us the proof. You have no proof, and you don't provide proof. Do you know that in Palestine, if a Palestinian young man was found guilty of committing a terrorist attack against Israel, the Israelis would go to his parents' home and bulldoze his parents' home, putting his parents to be homeless when they had absolutely nothing to do with the crime their son committed? Do you also understand, ladies and gentlemen, that we must follow the rules of international law? If the Russians felt that we've been giving weapons to Ukraine, and we have in financial support, like Iran, but financially supporting the Houthis, they've been killing Russian soldiers with American weapons. So if the Russians want to come inside of America and kill American soldiers because we've been supporting Ukraine, it's the same exact thing.
It's not the same thing, and you should care about it.
I love black Americans. You white folks don't.
That's it for the Face-Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.